Ethan Carter was 9 years old, getting ready to move up from 3rd grade to 4th grade. His life was very ordinary, but hidden within that ordinary life were countless small lessons that were slowly helping him grow up. Every morning at 7 o'clock, Ethan woke up to his mother's voice. "Ethan, time to get up. You're going to miss the bus." The first couple of calls, he'd keep his eyes shut, then on his mom's third call, he'd reluctantly climb out of bed. He'd quickly wash his face, put on his usual school clothes, and sit down at the kitchen table. His mom, Laura, would make him cereal and toast, and his dad, Mark, would sit with him for a few minutes chatting before heading to work. Ethan's little sister, Sophie, who was 6, often teased her brother during breakfast, which sometimes led to little squabbles. At 7:45, the yellow school bus would pull up outside. Ethan would grab his backpack and run out, his mom calling after him, "Don't forget your lunchbox." On the bus, Ethan's best friend Jacob sat next to him. The two of them would talk about yesterday's video game, or guess what would happen in class that day. At school, everyone lined up to enter the classroom, and Mrs. Anderson, their teacher, stood at the door greeting everyone with a smile. The first class was math. Ethan found multiplication and division a bit tricky, especially when the numbers got bigger. One day, when Mrs. Anderson was teaching long division, Ethan didn't fully understand it. He raised his hand and said, "I don't get it." His teacher patiently explained it again, using a simpler example, and this time it slowly started to click in Ethan's mind. When the bell rang at 10 o'clock, the favorite part of the day arrived: recess. Ethan and his friends ran out to the field, and most days they played kickball. Ethan was one of the best kickers on his team, and when he sent the ball flying far, his friends would cheer loudly. One day during recess, something funny happened. While kicking the ball, Ethan tripped and scraped his knee slightly. At first, he teared up a little, but after the school nurse put on a band-aid, he went right back to playing with a smile. His friend Olivia told him, "You're so brave, Ethan," which made him feel good. At lunch, Ethan sat in the cafeteria with his friends, Jacob, Olivia, and Noah. His mom packed his lunch every day: a sandwich, some grapes, a small juice box, and sometimes a cookie too. During lunch, they talked about all kinds of things: cartoons, video games, weekend plans. One day, Noah shared a cookie from his lunchbox with Ethan, and in return, Ethan gave him part of his apple. These small exchanges made their friendship even stronger. In the afternoon, they usually had science and reading class. Ethan loved science, especially when they did experiments. One day, Mrs. Anderson split the whole class into small groups to do a little volcano-style experiment with baking soda and vinegar. In Ethan's group were Jacob and a new girl named Emma, who had just joined the school. Emma was a bit shy at first, since she was new and didn't know anyone. Ethan noticed Emma standing alone, so he walked over and said, "Hey, do you want to help me pour this?" A smile spread across Emma's face, and the three of them successfully completed the experiment together. From that day on, Emma became their friend too. School ended at 3 o'clock. Ethan rode the bus home again, tired but happy. When he got home, he'd first have a snack. Most days, a peanut butter sandwich or some fruit. Then his mom would ask him, "How was school today?" On some days, he'd excitedly tell her about his whole day: his new friend Emma, the science experiment. On other days, when he was worried about homework, he'd seem a bit down. Doing homework wasn't always easy for Ethan. Math worksheets especially felt boring to him, and the temptation to go play outside always seemed far more appealing. One day, he told his mom, "Can I just skip homework today and play outside?" His mom smiled gently and said, "I know it's hard, but let's do it together. Once we finish, you can play as long as you want before dinner." They'd sit together doing homework, with his mom helping him step by step whenever he got stuck. This time spent together slowly became something Ethan treasured, because it wasn't just about schoolwork, it was time spent with his mom. Once homework was finished, Ethan's real fun would begin. He and his neighborhood friends, Jacob, Noah, and sometimes even Sophie, would play basketball in the street in front of the house, or ride bikes around the park. Friday afternoons were the most special, since there was less homework pressure, and they'd go to the park and play for a long time. Sometimes soccer, sometimes tag, sometimes just riding bikes around. For Ethan, these moments were the most precious. No class, no test, no pressure. Just laughter and running around with friends. One day, the school announced there would be a big math test the following week. Ethan grew a little worried, since math was his weakest subject. When he got home, he told his dad about his worries. Mark reassured him, saying, "You don't have to be perfect, buddy. Let's just practice a little every day this week." That week, every night after dinner, father and son would practice math together, turning it into a game. Sometimes a number game with cards, sometimes a simple problem-solving contest. On the day of the test, Ethan felt far more confident than before. When the results came back, he got a good grade. Not perfect, but something he could be proud of for his own effort. Saturday mornings, Ethan had nowhere to rush to. He'd sleep in late, watch cartoons while eating pancakes. In the afternoon, the family would sometimes go for a picnic in the park, sometimes head to the local library to find new books. Whenever Ethan went to the library, he always looked for books about dinosaurs or outer space, since those were his favorite subjects. Back home, he'd curl up in bed with the books, and sometimes his mom would read to him out loud, the two of them talking about the pictures together. Ethan's life wasn't filled with any big dramatic events. It was made up of small moments: the school bell, math worksheets, kickball at recess, making new friends, practicing with dad, doing homework with mom, and lazy weekend mornings. But these small moments were actually teaching Ethan the most important lessons of all: that with patience, you can learn something difficult, that you can make a new friend just by showing a little courage, that you can try again after failure, and that ordinary time spent with family can become life's most precious memories. In every child's life, there are thousands of small stories like this hidden away: going to school, playing, learning, making friends, which together form the true foundation of growing up.